All right, so continuing on from where we left off in the last video, we've now got a collection view and we've got our table view over here, but these two are completely disconnected at this point, right? So if we scroll down here, nothing is going to change on this side. And obviously you can see that when we go over here and navigate through the collection view, we're not really getting any sort of indication of what we potentially have selected, okay? So really it's just kind of like a useless gallery at this point. That's all it is. So let's change that up a little bit, and we'll start by going over here to our table view where we did update focus. Okay, so now if you remember, we're just printing out the next focused index path item. Okay, so let's make a variable over here at the top. So we'll say var selected table item. Okay, I'll just be an integer. I guess we should start that off at 0. I was about to say -1 maybe, but we'll leave it at 0. And then we're gonna make this equal to that right there. Okay. And keep in mind, this will not run if we move off of there. Okay, so let's do this. We'll swap that in there. Print select the table item. So now we're using that, and then let's also print out what the name of that would be. So for example, whatever category this is, right? So we'll just go over here, put in here main categories, and then select the table item. And keep in mind, because this is tvOS and not iOS, just the very fact that we're kind of moving, down the table view, we're not even pressing anything to select these. But I feel like the expectation on the user side is that, okay, I'm now in this particular category. I don't necessarily have to click on it. Okay, at this point, you should be showing me the things that are over here, right? Does that make sense? Now, of course, you could make it so that you have to select it, but anyway. So you can see that obviously whatever we are currently on is what's getting printed out over there on down to the bottom. So let's do this. Let's change what is inside of our collection view based on that, and let's go up here. Just to kind of keep things simple. Let's say podcast images, and let's change one of these to be game art. Okay, like the bottom one, game art. And all we'll do is we'll just change around the order here. Okay, so we'll put the old man in the back, maybe put this one back in the back too. That way we don't have to import any other images. So essentially we're just going to be testing to see if so we'll say something like if this equals right. Switch statement could do this as well, and I mean, the way I actually have this in the Cartoon Smart app is it's all done through a property list, but what did I say, podcast? Okay. But just in theory, you could do something like this. So, right. And what's the error there? Oh. There we go. Well, if you weren't going to do this with a property list, I suppose you could do it with a dictionary. Well, let's get a little fancier. Hold on a sec. Okay, so here's what we could do, just to make this a little bit more ideal. Let's put in here a new variable called main dict or dictionary. And what we'll have in here is we're gonna specify the type is gonna be a string. So the key is gonna be a string, okay? And then the value is always gonna be an array, okay? So Now, just like these arrays, how we set them up over here, just bracket with string inside of there. That's what we're seeing right here. Whereas the key string, this is array, okay, and then just initialize it like that. So what we can do is we can come down here and we can say that, all right, our main dict, we're going to add a new key to this, okay, one of which will be podcasts. What don't you like over here? Oh, did I mess that up? I might have. Let's see if it comes back, and then we'll just keep writing. I might have. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So podcasts. All right. So we'll put podcasts over here. All right. So now we're going to make a key equal to an array. Okay. And all we have to do is put in here that. All right. So what we can do is we can look up based on podcasts with our key what this value would be. All right. Now, obviously, we'd probably want to do this for every one of these, but just for right now, let me make a space in there. Let's just use our two examples, podcast and game art. So, right. So then what we can do is we can come down here and back down here at the bottom. So instead of doing this goofy if statement, we could say, if let some array equals, and I'm doing this kind of the form of a question here because remember we don't have arrays set up for all of these categories, just podcast and game art. So we'll say if we can make an array out of, and then what we're going to do here is like, so normally we'd put in, just the key, right? If you were going to hard code it in, right? But instead we're going to put this in here. Okay. So we'll print out what some array equals. And now we've tied together things a little bit more smoothly here. Okay, so we're not doing that if statement. And okay, so you can see that it is actually starting to already work right here, just because it basically runs this as soon as we land in the app itself. So go down here and you can see that we're not crashing or anything like that. Okay, and let's go navigate our way down to game art. And you can see when we land on game art, it is able to find an array with that key name of game art. And if we go back up again, there's the one with the podcasts. So now it's a matter of basically repopulating the collection view with the different images. Okay, so that'll be our next step. And let's come back here to the top. We'll do current collection view, let's say images. Again, this will be a string. And instead of tying in the collection view to always being the game art images, which is what's right here, we want that to be our current collection view images. Okay, so just for right now, let's make it equal to our podcast images, right? Copy the same thing. Okay, because we'll initially start off with that, but then come down here, and there we go. All right, so if we run this, hopefully we don't crash or anything. And sure enough, we don't. And I believe we changed the order of these guys over here. So the next thing would be to now change that when we go down. So we'd have to wipe out what is currently in the collection view right here. And that's going to look like a function that says clear collection view. Okay. And we'll call that within here. Of course, we also want to make our current collection view images equal to whatever that array now is. And you shouldn't need to do this, but you could also remove all the data from that array before you make it equal to something else. But again, I think because you're just making one thing equal to another, it's not going to append or add on to what was already there. But hey, won't hurt either. And then down here, what we're going to do is we'll say, if we just want to be sure that the collection view does exist, we could say if that does not equal nil, then we're going to say collection view dot remove from super view. And then actually all we have to do is really just set up our collection view again, right? Because we already have this nice little function that takes care of that right over here. So let's see what happens. Scroll back down. Okay, so I'm going to go down and doink. There he goes. Go back up. Go back down. And so on like that. Okay, so that takes care of showing you guys how to tie the two of those together, and then let's do something to indicate that you've actually selected these images, because obviously, yeah, you can't tell either which side you're on, and that is happening right as we go through there, but we just got no clue about it. So go ahead and jump around. Go to the bottom of your table stuff over here, and I meant to actually put a mark in here for the start of when we're dealing with our collection view. Let me do that too. Mark collection view. Okay, so but get right over here, and I'm going to have you guys. I'm going to paste some stuff in, and I want you to kind of find it, using. Just type in collection view and then just go through here and find it. Let it fill itself in for you. But I want to kind of paste both of these in here together because I get confused between the two of them. This to me, when you put in here, did highlight item at that. That to me seems more like the one down here where I put in here print highlighted. This is actually when you press on the thing and then did update focus in. Is when you're just kind of navigating through there, okay? So you can see, and I've already went ahead and tested this out just to make sure it was right, but when you, when you go through here, right, go down, it says highlighted, okay? Again, there's really no indication that we've highlighted that cell yet, but we'll make it happen. Okay, so take a good long little look at that. Okay, and actually go ahead and get rid of this because I forced a value out of here. It I guess when we move off the collection view, can actually cause a crash. So don't do that. Don't leave that in there long. All right, we're gonna put in here if let index path equals context dot next focused index path. Do a comma after this. So we're kind of writing two if these here, and then let cell equals collection view dot cell for item at, and then we're going to put in here that index path. Okay, so we first make this, then we make that, and remember, if you were to print this out, it ends up just being like 0, 1 or 0, 2, because we only got one, or actually, no, is that right? I don't know. Don't worry about it. You can print it out if you want. But the point is that we're going to get the cell that we're currently focused in on here, okay? And let's see. And if you also wanted to kind of hold on to, and you probably would for later, the let's put in here currently selected collection view cell. Okay, that's super long and crazy, but let's go with it. Dot item. Okay, and this would be something that you'd probably want to hold on to over here. All right, I could see that being quite useful. Okay, so go back down to where that was at. But this doesn't actually have to do anything with us changing the appearance of the cell. So there's all sorts of different things that you could do over here. I'm going to have us just animate it. So we're going to go UI view dot animate. Let's see, we want just with duration 0.5, and then that is let's see, can I, yeah, there we go. Just hit return after that. So you get something like this. And we're not going to return anything from this or complete anything after it. So just put void in. Okay. And then here's where we're going to mess around with that cell. So, oh, actually didn't like something I did. I think I'm missing those. And if I get that wrong, I'll just paste it on in. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say cell dot transform. This is going to be a CG affine transform. And we're going to work with the scale here. So we're just going to say scale 1.1, 1.1. And that should move the it should just scale it upwards, and you can animate all sorts of properties in here. I mean, you can mess around with the alpha on it, and I'll paste in some other properties that you might want to consider. But let's take a look at what that does. So go ahead and run it. And you can see, obviously, I went across two of them. Now I'm going to go down to this other one. And you get an idea of where the problem is with this, is that we're not making anything smaller, but we are making things bigger, right? And fortunately, there is another version of our next focused index path, which is the previous focused index path. So go ahead and just copy all this right here, paste it right up here, and then we're just going to put in there previously focused index path, and probably a good idea to just put in here previous path or previous index, whatever. Let's do that, previous index path. We don't need to set this. So let's see. Let's put that in there, and then we're just going to make whatever cell that was go back down to its original size, and I think that ought to do it. Love that little startup noise for the... Okay, so there you go. Boom, boom, boom. Obviously, you can tell now. And, you know, we're getting a little cut off over here on these sides. And, you know, obviously that could be remedied by basically not cramming so much in here that we are currently. But let's see. I think we might be able to solve it, too, with putting a little bit of space on the insets. And again, that might push things together. Let's see. Yeah, well, it's helping, that's for sure. Right? In fact, actually, that's not bad. Yeah, I don't feel like... Okay, so that's working. Okay, let's paste in some other things that you could mess around with here. So go back over here to our collection view. Okay, I wasn't enamored with really any of these, but I'll put them in. So what you could do, let's go work this inside of here. You can change the cells, the border width. Okay, that's 30 is crazy, actually. That's really high. You can change the border color, the shadow color, the shadow radius, the shadow opacity, shadow offset. You can do all sorts of stuff like that. So let's do this. Let's come over here, set that to 0. So basically, we'll take these off as we go through. 0, 0. And let's see what we get. Not as noticeable as a difference as I would have thought. You can see the border coming in there. But part of that, I think, is we're not seeing some of the shadowing going on just because of the because we're increasing the size over here too, which might be just covering it up. Let's see what happens if we... Yeah, you can kind of still tell it's in there. But, yeah. So, you know, if you just wanted a straight kind of like, you know, outline around whatever's in there, you can do that. And you can see I accidentally did press down at one point when I ran that right over there. So let me just go and comment these out. So anyway, you know, kind of the next step in all this would be what happens when you press down, you know. where do you go? But that's really going to be contingent on what you're doing with this. You know, maybe if it's a portfolio or something like that, you're showing zoomed in versions of what you've just highlighted over. But the important thing is if you've already set your currently selected collection view, because obviously this is going to be set appropriately before you're able to press down anyway. So then at this point, you know, you can just put in here something like, you know, pressed, and then that's going to give you back whatever that index was. And I think that's actually probably a pretty good place to leave you guys at. Let's run it one more time. So let's see, we'll go over here, press down on it, press 0, press 1, and so on. And yep, there you go.